She was asking what is a good budget and good campaign period, and why focus on conversion rate optimization, why it is important before spends increase. Rishi, it's for you.
Yeah, I think Krishna is definitely better placed. He's the one who's actually worked with a lot of companies and set up the startup teams and all that. So Krishna, please take it.
So what is the minimum budget required is clearly a function of how many people you want to reach. How many people you want to reach, right? So initially aware about your brand, right? And the region that you are targeting. So let's say I'm only targeting, means we're based out of Hyderabad. I'm only targeting Hyderabad. And I might say, to start with, around 1 lakh people should see my ad, or 500 people should come to my site on a daily basis, right? So these are numbers which help you define what is your budget, because there's a cost on each of those channels. There's a cost on each of those channels, right? So when you define this number, that's what helps you drive what should be my budget, right? So now the second thing is, you mentioned about why conversion rate optimization. So conversion rate optimization is a slightly advanced stage, right? So we've been largely talking about, right, brand building, and then as you go along, some of them start converting it into sales, right? Some of your brand spend start converting into sales online on your e-commerce site. But yes, as you go along, you need to focus on make those site visitors into buyers. That's where conversion rate optimization starts coming into picture, right? So assuming for the first 1-2 months you've invested good amount of money on brand building, increasing awareness among your target audience, but now yes, obviously they have to now come and do a transaction. That's when it starts making a viable business sense for you also, right? So yes, conversion rate optimization is important, and but initially a big chunk of investment has to happen on the brand side, right? So to give you an add-on example, so let's say you have a mobile app, right? So mobile is the big thing these days. You have a mobile app, right? So a big chunk of searches today on Play Store is brand searches. Right? So which means you have to invest in brand so that people search for your app and then install it, download, install it. Now, yes, obviously, they've spent good amount of, now, they have to use the app extensively, right? And then also do a transaction. That's where, that's when you start talking about conversion rate optimization. How do I make him engage with the app more, open it more frequently, right? Show him something, he opens it more frequently. It could be an offer which happens on a daily basis or something like that, or it's a new product that is launched. And then over a period of time, make him do a transaction. So that's why conversion rate optimization is also important beyond brand, right? I hope this answers your question.
Right. So Anuradha, hope this answers you well. And we have one more question from Mohammed. So he wants to know what is advertising activity for e-commerce brands, and help us in insights on conversion tracking strategy, and ad types and trends and best practices.
Yeah, so let me just, for me, that's too much. It's almost like me writing a blog article with so many things to be addressed. So for me, I really have to understand the status of your company before I'm able to say this is what is the right answer. So for me, basics, basics is set up an analytics infrastructure, because what you see, what you measure is what gets changed. What you see is what gets changed. So it's very important that you actually have set up the first analytical infrastructure. You actually, like Krishna also pointed out in his presentation, setting up a data model, somebody just be making them responsible to present the reports on how the entire funnel, starting from advertising to actually conversion and customer service, you actually have some numbers being shown at different points of time. That's where the change starts. That's where your priorities start getting crystallized, because you would start seeing some numbers that are not normal. Okay, and therefore you have the next action item, or that's where you actually can say in terms of which number should be changed. One thing that I've learned is don't change too many numbers. So you should actually have a quarter plan, and you should also have a one parameter that you want to change. Definitely. Maybe, if your luck is there, you may end up changing one more number, but beyond that, don't try to change too many things. Because if your website is working and getting orders, it's in good shape. Okay. It's in a decent shape is what it means. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. So guys, I repeat, if you have any queries, please drop in question and answer section so that we'll take it out. And yeah, Rishi, we have one more question from Said Girni. He's asking, is it important to have a digital marketing agency, or should a e-sector consider to get job done from in-house marketing team? If yes, then why? And vice versa.
I think Krishna and me can answer, and I'm not sure what is Krishna's opinion, but I'll definitely answer it from my side and let Krishna answer it. So number one, I think it depends. Okay, so it depends. The reason is digital marketing the core of your company? Is the first question that you should be asking. So I've seen somebody like a resort, we worked with it. There, the entire marketing, including digital marketing, was outsourced simply because the biggest team happens to be their operational team. It just doesn't make sense. Two, and it's a small resort. Okay, it's a startup. I'm not trying to say that resort doesn't mean big company. It's just a startup, first 1 year of operation. So they started with outsourcing because they knew that it cannot really fit in. Okay, so that's one very important consideration, whether it's part of your core or not. So I've seen actually like e-learning companies, certain part, on their website, they may need certain things. So if it is content marketing, being in-house could help, but the rest of the marketing, which could be the performance marketing, which could be paid marketing to social media marketing, need not be in-house, because what perspectives an outsider can get in, you cannot definitely get in with the team, what do you call the internal team, because they're always focused. They're only looking at what they can and what they can't. Okay, so that's what I would broadly say decides whether it is in-house or outsourced. Krishna, please, what's your 2 cents for this?
So I think, see, digital marketing is a constantly changing subject today, right? So, there are new things which are happening literally every month, right? Every month. Okay, so that is one. Then, as it has been, as Rishi mentioned, if digital marketing is your core, right? So you would have a large part of team in-house. Large part of team in-house. When we say digital marketing is your core, it is actually impacting your sales. It's actually impacting your sales, right? So that's equivalent to a sales team, right? So you would as well have, a team itself in-house. But the companies, what they do, they still hire external consultants, external agencies to handle certain activities, not just for deploying those activities, but also more from a market intelligence perspective. Right? So what's happening, what's new that's coming up, not just in the industry, but across competition, across multiple players, right? And are they losing out is the second thing, right? So, but if it's not your core, if it's not, imagine you stop it and you can still survive, you should outsource. If you have to tell me the correct word, imagine you stop digital marketing, you can still survive. I think it is better to outsource and get your brand built, right? So that's what I would say, right? But if you're not going to survive because it's not there, a large part of it has to be in-house. Big chunk of it, small chunk of it would be outsourced to gain market intelligence and new things that are being done, right? Yeah. That's what it is.
Right. So guys, I repeat, please enter your question. Yeah. So Rishi, we have one more question from Pavan. He's asking what will be the charges in general to outsource digital marketing?
Yeah, Pavan, I think, again, it depends is the answer. It really depends on two things. One is, what is the goal that you're trying to achieve? Because if the goal is obviously a smaller goal or a bigger goal, if you said if it impacts your sales, then the cost would obviously go up. If it is more about brand or something, most probably it would not be that costly. The reason is it still has to be done, but it may not be that costly because it's more everyday activity. So campaigns cost higher, but the activities cost lower. And also, are you outsourcing social media where there's a lot of that exists, to search engine optimization where there's a lot of exists, but if it is like webinar management, there's nobody existing, so it may be costly. So it really depends on what we are trying to achieve here and also the budget that you want to spend. Typical numbers that I've seen is anywhere between 50K to 1 lakh is a typical number. That need not be our number, that need not be any other agency's number, but typical numbers are around that. 50K if you're a small startup, 1 lakh if you're a little bit bigger, right? And then it goes up from there. Krishna, please answer.
Yes, as you know, depends on the activities that one gets involved in, right? Depends on the complexity of the work, right? So that's where the pricing is, right? Yeah. So if it's just, to be frank, if it's just plain creatives, you need 5 creatives. It would start at as low as 15, 20K, 10K also. But if you think I have to design, I have to also strategy for you, build strategy for you, right? At a larger scale, implement it for you. It would go much higher, right? End of the day, the more resources gets allocated, the more cost it would be, right? Yeah. But yeah, so we could take an offline. I think you mentioned that you are on the edTech side, right? Online training. So we could take it offline and have a discussion, how to get this done. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question from Sunny Goyal. We are a furniture company trying to sell through website, but struggling to get sales. So we tried SEO, social marketing, hired agency, also, but not able to crack. So can you suggest some marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think I would let Krishna because he's the one who sold so many things online as a variety.
So before answering this question, see first question. See, I worked as a marketing head, right? So first question that I would need an answer is, why should people buy your furniture, right? So that's the first thing you have to answer. We have to answer, right? That is one. Then second, yes, obviously, did we try out all the channels that are there? So fortunately, today with marketplaces being there, right? So people try out marketplaces, people try out their own websites, right? So did we actually try out all of those as a start, right? So that's when you see acceptance to our product. Now, third point, if it is a premium luxury brand, yes, there has to be a big amount of investment that has to happen on brand building and driving people to the store, not an online purchase, right? So even I mean, a 50,000 for a chair, so I'm just maybe exaggerating, but today sofas are also being sold at 3 to 5 lakhs, right? Those are all advertised online to the right audience. So for example, whoever has a high-end phone or a high-end vehicle, right? So I only reach those guys, advertise them, but drive them to the store for a sale, right? So now every sale need not happen on the website. Let's also be very clear, right? So when you do online advertising, And that's what we call as omni-channel, right? Every sale need not happen on the website. The sale can also happen offline. Now, we've clearly seen high ticket items, the sale happens offline. And the second or the third sale is something which happens online. And there are high chances that also happens on a WhatsApp call or on a call rather than on the website. So, so these are finer nuances that exist across various product categories. So we could have a call in detail, go through your website, existing business, and see what could be done and what could be improved, right? Yeah, because especially when you're trying to sell online, price is very important. Are you price competitive for a new brand that comes online, right? So that's what.
Right.
Okay.
Guys,
Yeah.
please address the polls. And we have one more question from. Okay, he's asking, please explain setup steps and shopping ads and Google Ads.
So we have to arrange a separate call, so side we could do it here, right? On the execution side we could do it here, right? We have to do a separate call, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Someone says my hi to Rishi. I worked with him gifting.
Syed quadrits him, Rishi. So he wanted to say hi.
Yeah. Hi, Syed. Hi, Syed. I know. Hi, Syed. I was not expecting that, but hi, Syed.
I have one question for Rishi. You see, I think, Rishi, I have done largely India markets extensively. You've done, as part of gifting, I think you also sell across the world, right? So, so across the world and as a marketplaces, so what are the issues that you faced? What are the means and how could, which are things that you solved either from the marketing perspective or, the delivery perspective? And it's a very
Sure.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, few things. I mean, just few pointers. I think that's where even my presentation says. One is geography, to be able to know which geography to target based on your budget has been something that's very difficult. So it's very easy, so I have one of the leads that said, I want to target the entire Middle East. Now, where do you start? Okay. So, or, you're like saying, I want to target West Coast. Now, West Coast is a huge one in the US. So US and Canada, where do you start? So that's one. Geography is not something that's understood. So focusing on saying that so going to the city level could help. Going to maybe certain local, hyper-local geographies could help us target better than others. That's one way, that's one problem that I've seen going global. Few ways in which it can be solved is most probably through, something like LinkedIn is a lot more specific than something like targeting on Facebook. And so, if you go into networks, industry networks, it really makes sense to not think geography. So that's one way to solve the problem, is to go into networks that are industry specific or networks that are interest specific. So that's one problem and the solution that we were able to see. And the second one is in terms of communication, obviously the wording, the ad that you would put in, what you want to communicate is so very different. So, what our realization, and especially coming from a gifting background, which is a smaller item to sell, the problem is what we say, sitting in the US or sitting in India need not necessarily be true for somebody sitting in Philippines. So, or China, especially, where the English is a big barrier to break through. So it's very important that we understand, appreciate. That's something that we need to break through, to be able to go and do marketing. Those are the top two, Krishna.
Great. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Sweta, please.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
So I think, guys, anyone wanted to ask directly questions? Please raise your hand so that we can enable.
Yes. wrap it up.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Yeah, one of the attendees has.
Danny is saying that the webinar was informative and provided valuable insights. Thank you. Thanks, Danny. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, Krishna.